The story of Daniel is one of faith, courage, and divine wisdom. Taken captive as a young man from Jerusalem to Babylon, Daniel faced immense challenges in a foreign land. Despite pressure to conform, he remained steadfast in his devotion to God. Through his unwavering faith, God granted him wisdom to interpret dreams, survive deadly plots, and reveal future prophecies. His life demonstrated that God is sovereign over all rulers and kingdoms. From the fiery furnace to the lion's den, Daniel's story continues to inspire believers, proving that faithfulness to God leads to divine protection, wisdom, and ultimate victory. When King Nebuchadnezzar conquered Jerusalem, he took many young Israelites, including Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to Babylon. These young men were chosen for their wisdom and appearance to be trained for royal service. They were given new names and taught Babylonian customs, but they remained faithful to God despite being in a foreign land. Daniel and his friends did not forget their heritage. They saw their captivity as an opportunity to serve God, knowing that he was still in control. Their unwavering faith and obedience would soon set them apart from the others. In the king's court, as part of their training, Daniel and his friends were offered the king's rich food and wine. However, this food was likely offered to idols and did not follow Jewish dietary laws. Rather than defile themselves, Daniel requested a diet of vegetables and water. The palace officials were hesitant, fearing the young men would grow weak. But Daniel proposed a test. After 10 days, they appeared healthier and stronger than those who ate the king's food. God honored their faithfulness by giving them knowledge, wisdom, and understanding beyond their peers, preparing them for the challenges that lay ahead. King Nebuchadnezzar had a troubling dream that none of his wise men could interpret. The furious king ordered all his advisors, including Daniel and his friends, to be executed. In faith, Daniel prayed and God revealed the dream's meaning. The dream depicted a statue made of different metals, symbolizing future kingdoms. Daniel explained that Nebuchadnezzar's empire would fall, and only God's kingdom would last forever. Amazed by the interpretation, Nebuchadnezzar acknowledged Daniel's God as the God of gods and appointed Daniel to a high position in the kingdom, further proving God's power over earthly rulers. Nebuchadnezzar built a massive golden statue and commanded all people to bow before it. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused, declaring their loyalty to God alone. Enraged, the king ordered them thrown into a fiery furnace, heated 7 times hotter than normal. The soldiers carrying them perished from the heat. Yet, inside the fire, the 3 men remained unharmed, and a 4th figure, an angel or a divine being, appeared with them. Seeing this miracle, Nebuchadnezzar called them out, praising their God for delivering them. He then issued a decree that no one should speak against the God of Israel. During a feast, King Belshazzar used the sacred golden vessels from the temple in Jerusalem to drink wine and worship idols. Suddenly, a mysterious hand appeared and wrote on the palace wall. Terrified, the king called for Daniel to interpret the message. Mean, tekel, pass in. Daniel explained that the words meant God had judged Belshazzar's kingdom, found him lacking, and determined his rule would end. That very night, the Persian army invaded, and Belshazzar was killed. The prophecy was fulfilled instantly, proving that no king, no matter how powerful, could stand against God's judgment. Under King Darius, jealous officials plotted against Daniel by convincing the king to sign a decree forbidding pray to anyone but him for 30 days. Daniel remained faithful and continued praying to God openly. The officials reported him, and despite Darius' regret, Daniel was thrown into a den of hungry lions. The next morning, the king rushed to the den and found Daniel unharmed. God had shut the lions' mouths. Overjoyed, Darius declared Daniel's God as the living God, and the scheming officials were thrown into the den themselves. This event reinforced Daniel's unwavering faith and God's power. God gave Daniel prophetic visions about future world powers. He saw 4 beasts rising from the sea, representing the Babylonian, Persian, Greek, and Roman empires. Each empire would rule for a time before falling, but ultimately, God's eternal kingdom would prevail. In another vision, Daniel saw the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven, a prophecy of the Messiah's future reign. Though these visions troubled Daniel, they reassured him that God controlled history. His prophecies were accurate and revealed events centuries before they happened, proving that God's sovereignty extends beyond time and earthly rulers. Daniel had a vision of a powerful ram with 2 horns, symbolizing the Medo-Persian Empire. Then, a swift goat with a single horn representing Greece under Alexander. The Great charged at the ram and defeated it. The goat's horn was later broken and replaced by 4 smaller horns, signifying the division of Alexander's empire after his death. This prophecy, given long before these events occurred, was fulfilled precisely as Daniel described. His visions demonstrated God's knowledge of the future and his control over world events. These prophecies continue to be studied as proof of God's divine plan in history. While studying the writings of the prophet Jeremiah, Daniel realized that Israel's exile would last 70 years. Recognizing that the time of restoration was near, he prayed earnestly for his people, confessing their sins and asking God for mercy. In response, the angel Gabriel appeared and delivered a prophecy about the coming of the Messiah and the timeline of future events. Daniel's prayer revealed his deep concern for his nation and his unwavering faith in God's promises. His intercession reminds believers of the power of prayer and God's faithfulness in fulfilling his word at the appointed time. In one of his final visions, Daniel saw a great battle, the rise of powerful rulers, and a time of great tribulation before God's eternal kingdom is fully established. The angel Michael was described as a protector of God's people, and Daniel was told that in the last days, the righteous would be resurrected to eternal life. Though some details remained a mystery, God assured Daniel that all things were in his hands. These prophecies provide hope and encouragement, showing that no matter how dark the world becomes, God's ultimate plan will be fulfilled, and his kingdom will reign forever. The story of Daniel is a powerful testament to faith, resilience, and God's sovereignty. Throughout his life, Daniel remained unwavering in his devotion. Even when faced with exile, persecution, and death, his ability to interpret dreams, survive the lion's den, and witness divine visions proved that God was with him. Likewise, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's deliverance from the fiery furnace demonstrated God's protection over those who trust him. Daniel's prophecies about future kingdoms and the end times remind us that God controls history. His life encourages believers to stay faithful, knowing that God's kingdom will ultimately triumph forever.